Good evening. A maverick, a non-conformist, rabble-rouser, a freedom fighter, General David Sejusa, a spicer, has chosen a war path with the NRM government. In 2013, Sejusa fled to exile after authoring a dossier that senior government officials against the Muhoozi project face assassination. A proverbial soul-turned Paul, he continues to speak about politics, yet the army says he's still a serving army officer. However, Sejusa says he was released from the army by the commander-in-chief. General David Sejusa is my guest tonight. General David Sejusa, we're honored to host you tonight. You're on the spot.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
What a day this was in Uganda's democratic path, or even the lack of that democratic path. What an eventful day.
Well, I don't think this is an isolated day. I think Uganda has seen so many days of this nature for the last maybe 10, 15 years. The difference is that each time brings in new actors. So the difference today that there was a certain Honorable Mama Mbabazi who was added to the heap, if I may call it that way. But this has been going on. This has been going on. Dr. Besigye has been incarcerated in his house for now 5 years or so. The street battles have been going on. The attacks of civilians and so on, the demonstrations. So there is really nothing new. The body politic of Uganda has been degraded to such an extent that you can no longer, you can no longer right now know whether there is a functioning state or not. Really.
General Sejusa, let me pick the sentiments of the people I talked to. Very humble Ugandans doing all sorts of things, like somebody in a saloon, somebody a taxi driver, somebody who's a barber. And they say, General Sejusa is not a grateful man to the commander-in-chief, that after returning home from exile, you make all these statements, you call for a revolution, and you still walk the streets of Kampala as a free man, yet when you look back, former ISO head, Brigadier Henry Tumukunde, was incarcerated in his own home for more than a year. Even when what he talked was harmless, not comparable to what you said. And for that, they think you are ungrateful.
Yes, Patrick, yes, yes. You see, this is what the dictatorship does to the mind of the oppressed. They cease to appreciate their own rights as human beings, as individuals. And they are always blaming themselves. It's self-blame. So it is me who is not ungrateful. It's not Mr. Museveni who was wrong in the first instance to cause my exile. And therefore I should be grateful for his mistakes. Just because. So in other words, President Museveni is supposed to kill me, or President Museveni is supposed to arrest me even when I'm innocent. This is the mindset of I even hear it. You say I'm still a serving officer and so on.
That's what
Patrick, you know, they say, this is what they say. They say, but Sejusa is still a serving officer. Nobody asks President Museveni, why are you keeping that man against his will? He has served his country well for 34 years. No, you take this very seriously. He has followed the law, and he has applied. And 90 days have elapsed.
According to the UPDF Act, is illegal. It's against the law. It's against the UPDF Act. Where is your discharge certificate, sir?
Have you ever seen President?
You have one.
Have you ever seen President Museveni's discharge certificate? Have you asked him? He has come here. Does he have it? Who discharged him? Who discharged Aronda?
So
who discharged Aronda Nyakairimo?
So two mistakes make it right.
No.
This is what you want.
This is why we want.
So somebody committed
crime. This is why. No.
Even General Sejusa should do
No. Listen. This is. You see, when there is a breakdown of law, you cannot enforce law on one side. We must fight to establish the rule of law, the application without. You know, law is blind. You can no longer say President Museveni doesn't break the law, but when Sejusa does something, he breaks the law. No. I'm breaking the law. Today, the government was breaking the law. Today. No one is blaming it. I'm here talking because I'm trying to right the wrongs. Because people are being attacked, people are being arrested, free citizens and innocent people are being killed. When I talk about them, you say you are talking about politics. Why did I go to the bush?
Now,
therefore,
you say, General Sejusa, you say you are denied or you have been denied the exit. But what is it really, that General Sejusa you want to say that has not been said already? What is this ground-breaking things that you want to tell Ugandan? Say them. Because you have already put in the...
Okay, let me finish this. First, before I answer that, therefore, when the law is being applied, it should never be applied selectively. But most important, it's incumbent upon those who lead. They are the ones who are actually supposed to obey the law, more than those whom they lead. Therefore, those who lead us must be made to account more for the breakdown of the law and order. For instance, the breakdown in the UPDF Act and the state of discipline in the army must be attributed to the commander-in-chief and those who follow him. If you do not follow the law of retirement, of deployment, and you selectively retire a few people and not others, and you employ others into political offices, and you employ them to speak politics, you cannot stop others. For instance, I told you, General Arunda Nyakairima is a serving officer. He is appointed a political officer. General Kaihura speaks politics. He's even called a cadre. The other time I had...
guys who are vetted by the House by the members of Parliament.
These are officers of the army and so on. The other time I had an officer who was on, I think it was on Top TV or Top Radio or something. He said, no, Sejusa is going to be charged because he's speaking in the wrong forum and talking politics. But this lady was saying, Museveni cannot be defeated by you. She was actually so in other words, my job, what I'm trying to achieve right now, is to reestablish the supremacy of the law within even the armed forces and within the country itself. Because as we shall be discussing and as we go on, you'll see that it's not only other things which have broken down. Even the military law, the discipline within the security services is breaking down. And this actually threatens the whole integrity of the state as we go along. Now, going to your question, which what's the big news?
So look, they've been holding you. They don't want you to speak. So as if you have this earth-shattering, groundbreaking kind of things you want to speak, you have not spoken them. Here's the platform. The UPDF Act, you're not supposed to say them, but you are here, so tell Ugandans, what is it?
The Ugandans you are talking about know what I have done so far. You've been talking about my history. It's not a one-day event. Liberation is a process. I started it when I was a young boy in Makerere University. I have 3 scars of Amin. I didn't run away like very many of these people. I stayed here and managed to survive. I went to the bush and spent 5 years. I have continued to serve my country for the last, this is 30 years since we left the bush, and I have served my country well. So this has been a process of liberation. A freedom fighter, we are very few who are remaining, by the way. I hear very many people calling themselves freedom fighters, and, that they are patriots. You know, those who abuse the laws of the country, the laws of the land, those who steal, those who subvert democracy and so on, can no longer qualify as freedom fighters. So for those of us who are still on the course, the process is long. So don't say, oh, say it. I have already said it by standing up. Not very many people, by the way, stand up to regimes in Africa. You know, because these are basically military regimes.
Let me point back to your history, to your journey in the last
but let me finish that question. The big story is my freedom as a Ugandan. That's the big story, which people do not appreciate. This, you see, it's the individual freedom of an individual which translates into collective freedoms of a society. If the individual is not free, society cannot be free. So Sejusa's freedom translates into the freedom of all many other Ugandans. And the fact that I require my freedom, not only to speak as a free man, but to save my country by saving those which I think are bound to hurt my country. That's the big story. The big story is about my freedom and the freedom of all Ugandans.
Okay.
To say what is right and what is wrong.
Let us look back into the footsteps of General Sejusa. In 1996 or thereabout, you came out and I think talked to my former supervisor, Dr. Peter Mwesige, senior journalist now, and then you also spoke to the late Kevin Aliro. Again, Kevin Aliro, the man also I'm privileged to work with. These are top of the range kind of journalists in my view whom I've been able to work with. And according to what they wrote, is that at one point when they are discussing with you, you were so emotional, looking at what is happening in Uganda, the ills and all this kind of thing, that you almost shed a tear. But look, a few years later, the gut-wrenching words you said, a few years later, you went back into government, you went back into service, and you actually worked with gusto, including leading the army to defile the Temple of Justice, the so-called Black Mambas. Now, really, are you two people in one?
No, what you are asking is, what you are asking is a very important question, because it shows the journey of a freedom fighter. The journey of a freedom fighter need not be straightforward, because a lot of things can impact on it. Actually, 1996 was not the beginning of my struggle against dictatorship and so on. I started even disagreeing with Mr. Museveni on issues I don't want to go into here, but which were a reflection of what would happen in the future. And not very many people would do that by the way in those circumstances. And when I came in 89, we didn't agree the extension, because you see, the fundamental agreement we had done with Ugandans, forget about that small body in NRC, was that in 89, in 90, we would have served for 4 years. We would actually give out power, we give away power, go into an election, and let the people choose the person they want. What informed this is that we were a military clique, we were a military junta really. This is what we were. Because when we took Kampala, we were not more than 10,000. Half of us were soldiers, even 3/4, plus a few civilians. So the political base was still DP and UPC and the old parties. We hadn't even done any political work in other parts of the country, save for Western region, a little bit of Western region, and Ruero, the bigger Ruero. Therefore, we knew that at this time we had transfer power to let the people engage in this process. So I was involved even in that one. But unknown to many people who were manipulated and so on, there was an extension of another 10 years. We went up to 1996. Still, we opposed this in the Constituent Assembly, where again I represented the UPDF, which we are talking about. Because we knew this road we are taking was very, very dangerous. That's why we wanted, some of us and a few people wanted to open up a political space. We don't agree that the movement was a political system, because it would never stand, because by real practice of what it was doing, it wouldn't. So we disagreed. We supported things like me, federal for instance, because what was informing my decision was part of the biggest problem of the African today is the nature of the neo-colonial state. You hear these people talking about statistics behind. You cannot develop anything which is sustainable unless you deal fundamentally with the nature of the neo-colonial state of the African people. And no one appreciates this. It's like having a small house, a grass-thatched house. You bring in television, you bring in running water, you bring in, you paint inside, and you think it's a wonderful house. You have to deal with the foundation, you have to deal with the termites. You cannot compare it to a brick and cement house. Therefore, the African state is a grass-thatched house. It was kept together by the colonials, by the force of the armed forces. The current leaders are doing exactly the same, only that they are black. Therefore, let me tell you, I'm telling you about my struggles, even in the Constituent Assembly, that they were more fundamental than these cosmetic changes. They were more fundamental. In 1996, I went and told President Museveni, I addressed the High Command for 45 minutes. And I told him, Mr. President, you should not contest. I told him. He asked me why. I told him. And in my conclusion, I told him, Mr. Museveni, if you do not stop now, you will never be the political reference point of Ugandan politics. He looked at me. He said, what? And I told him, I said, are you willing to be defeated by Paul Semogedi if he was to run now? Because he hadn't then decided to run. And he laughed, and everybody laughed. They said, how can we be defeated by Semogedi? The country he would destroy the country. I said, then why are you going for elections? I asked him. He knows. You can ask those who are there. Why are you going in elections? And then I asked them another question. How are you going to stop him from winning? Unless you use the armed forces. But you see, the fundamental change we are talking about when we went to Luwero had nothing to do with these small things. I hear them talking about the hills of Kampala. Even dictators can actually, because we are 35 million, when Kampala was 7 hills, we were at 7.7 million. That's what we were at 1964, 7.7 million. We are 35 million people. You cannot stay on 7 million. So by mere demography, you must expand. So, but the fundamental change we are talking about were these fundamental issues which are enslaving the African peoples.
But let me
1996, no, 96. Patrick, let me finish. Therefore, 1996, what happened is that I did not only oppose Mr. Museveni in the Constituent Assembly, I went to Parliament, to a parliamentary committee, and I put him on the spot and the system about corruption and sustaining the war in the north because of our corrupt tendencies. This was a very serious undertaking. You are saying, what is groundbreaking? That was groundbreaking. I called upon Mr. Museveni, if you cannot end the Konye war, resign. Because of the corruption, I later on headed a committee in ghost soldiers. The report is there. They call it Mbaba's committee. I'm the one who went around all the units of UPDF. A unit is supposed to have 730 soldiers, 720 and 10 minimum, and they were 150. And how can you fight? So you send a battalion to attack Konye, or 2 battalions, but you're actually sending 1 company. When it goes there, it is ambushed, it's wiped out. This is how the war, and therefore corruption was not only, don't look at it in more ways. It is actually, it perpetuated that war. It can lead to the collapse of the state. So this, in 96, I went and did this, and then I was going to be court-martialed.
We're going to take a break, General David Sejusa. When we come back, I just want to ask you on your Damascus turnaround, which keeps coming and going. Why is that? Because when Saul turned Paul, he remained Paul forever. But for you, there has been this flip-flop. Why that flip-flop? We'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guest tonight is General David Sejusa. Just today, General, you went to see John Patrick Amama Mbabazi at Kira Road. And of course, the captain stopped the general, and you had an issue with that. How can a general be stopped by a captain? But then you made a statement there that I want my producer to play, which is just like a minute. And then we'll talk about it very briefly. Please, can you give me that trip?
Now I think for Mr. Mbabazi, the hangover is gone. Of former Prime Minister, of Secretary General, now he must commit ideological suicide, ally with the population, go into the trenches. To remove Museveni is going to be trench warfare.
To remove Museveni is going to be a trench warfare.
Yes.
Here is a serving military officer with no discharge certificate. You're talking about this is actually declaring war.
But by the way,
and how can even other politicians work with you or even be able to criticize President Museveni for using the army if they bring you into their camp, yet you too are a serving officer?
You see, first of all, I'm not a serving officer. You see, people are just, you see, dictatorship really does something terrible to people's minds. You know, a slave, when slaves were, they are conditioned in such a way that even when you give them freedom, They will reject it. Because this is the conditioning.
Wait a minute.
This is the conditioning of power.
Are you challenging the intelligence of Uganda?
No, wait. This is the conditioning of power. Yes, because the oppression has been on for 30 years. You see, what people do not know is that, for instance, you see, let me answer your question. What are we talking about? I spent 2 years. I quarreled with the system and President Museveni and spent 2 years resisting him. 2 years in Britain. I didn't come here because he allowed me to come. If he wants, he can take me back. Those players, games must stop. That's not what it is.
You went to
London. Listen, yes,
I
spent there. Listen.
There was an assassination attempt on those who opposed the project.
Wait.
You came back. Where are the assassins, General?
Maybe what you see the genesis of all that, and you haven't seen nothing yet. Maybe. So don't rush. Because when I wrote, everybody thought it was just a joke. Where is Mbabazi now? Where is Aronda now? They almost killed me 3 times. The British, at one time, they passed me under the tunnel. The British security services. The British with my young son. They took him away from me because of the danger. What are you talking about? Assassination in the UK.
They attempted your life?
Yes, 3 times. One time they took away my son, my young son, because it was very dangerous to stay with me. They took him to another county, the security services of Britain, and they took me another 2 districts away and launched a counter. So I do not want to go into...
And you are saying you are being hunted down by the Ugandan security service in London?
Reports were made. Yes, they were. Yes, they were. And there is evidence and so on. And we can bring everything on the table. There is nothing I say that cannot be proved. So and I wouldn't say this. But Britain is not a banana republic.
That's what I'm saying. How does somebody, a hit squad, go around London trying to hit you in the bus tunnel from a banana republic into the superpower?
Superpower? You have not heard these regimes do incredible things. These regimes do incredible things. But anyway, that is beside the point. Why I said that. And by the way, it's more than that. So I go to Britain. When I come back, I didn't come back, I wasn't a visitor. I had gone back because I disagreed with this government. You cannot come and put me in the army and say it is business as usual. There is one option. Even if it was true that I'm in the army, all they can do is to arrest me. But they can never make me a serving officer. So that is redundant talk.
Okay.
Because even when I went to the bush, I disobeyed Obote. And by the way, he arrested me. Let me tell you, Obote arrested me as a serving policeman. And I escaped. And people died. Theirs died. Ours died. I escaped. I went back to the bush. I was arrested as a serving officer. So you are not telling me about anything new. When you're a freedom fighter, those are the things you undergo. Therefore, for some of us who fight for our freedom, we are not scared about the laws of the oppressor. And we reject
the point of departure. The point of departure with other progressive forces in Uganda, with you, is you to stand on this side today and go on the other side tomorrow. At the wedding of your daughter, after you had broken ranks with the regime in 1997 and returned to the fold, you said, and I quote, "Muzei, forgive me because I got advice from some people. It was as if I was possessed because I received advice from some circles.
No.
But I later woke up to my senses and made a turnaround.
No.
I'm prepared to work with you even more.
No.
And see what you did many years later.
Actually,
you commanded the Black Mamba.
No. Even that.
File the temple's justice.
Even that.
At the High Court.
No, even that one we can. You see.
So as if there are 2 people in you, General Sejusa.
Let's conceptualize this.
If this was a disease, with all respect, it would be a personality disorder.
No, it's not a personality disorder. You see. With revolutionary politics, there is what we call bidding time.
Bidding time?
Absolutely.
Let me tell you. Some people
no. Let me. Why did Museveni not fight in 1979 and 80 against Mwanga. He knew they were killing people here. But he served under the military commission, which was committing crimes. This gentleman of yours, why didn't he do it? Because, by the way, we took up arms. In 1980, in September, we called it Chichwa Operation. It was in November, Chichwa Operation. We took even guns to Lansana. We wanted to launch an attack early, like Kaira, because Kaira went before us. He went in December. Even us, we wanted to do it. And during that time, that is Chichwa Operation. You can ask General Tumwin and so on. So in a meeting, General Museveni said...
He did ugly things, Chichwa Operation.
No, Chichwa Operation didn't. We aborted it. And why? Why did we abort it? Mr. Museveni said, we cannot justify it. We cannot justify it. We know bad things are happening, but we cannot justify going to war now because Obote hasn't rigged. In fact, if Obote had not rigged, I don't know what we would have used. In other words, all I'm saying is that in revolutionary warfare, in freedom fighting, we don't intend to become martyrs. We intend to be successful fighters for our peoples. Therefore, in 1996, I went to court. I defeated Mr. Museveni up to the Supreme, in the Constitutional Court, that is the Court of Appeal. I went to the Supreme Court. That's when I was talking to Aliro, to Kevin, my friend, may he rest in peace. And all these things he was saying are true. It's not only that, it was much more about what was going on in the country and so on. But during the Supreme Court trial, President Museveni had the judges reverse their verdict. I was therefore conscripted. I was, just like now, I was conscripted, like they are trying to say now, only that now I'm wiser. And he said, you cannot retire from the army. Some of these gentlemen now leading these, they are the ones who are actually chairing the high command and the general court marshal, who stopped me from retiring. Because if I had retired, then the big announcement would have come. But President Museveni refused. Ugandans were not ready. This is what I'm talking about. Because freedom fighting also is time-bound. It also has other characteristics that shape it. It's not it does not operate in a vacuum. So
let me ask you.
Let me
go back to serve the regime in '96.
No, I'm coming to that.
Up all that anger.
No.
For 18 years.
18 years. No, let me finish this. You see, when I was put in the military, back in the military, you have two choices. Two. When I stood up, and people were saying, oh, I put on the guns and so on. The country wasn't ready in 1996. One of my friends in cabinet and so on, they were telling me that we thought you were a spoiler. President Museveni was a very good man. But we are shocked. This is what they are saying. Because I can also at times see very far. So, in 96,
you can at times see very far.
I think so. But
anyway, where are we headed?
No, I'll tell you, Patrick. So when President Museveni said you are back in the army, I had two choices. To become an outlaw, like I have done.
You are a renegade now.
Absolutely. I became an outlaw.
You are a renegade general.
Absolutely. I became an outlaw for
only that for
my people's
but only that you are walking free on the street.
For my people's revolution. It doesn't make any difference.
Which renegade general walks on the streets of Kampala?
No. You see, what you do not understand is that there is. But don't divert me, Patrick. Let me finish this. So I had either to become an outlaw and say, I'll stand up to defend the rights of my people and my own freedoms. Or I had to play ball and go back to the military. Once you go to the military, then you are institutionalized. You must carry out all the institutional orders. You must belong. You may not be, you may be with them, not of them, but still you are there. Now, this temp of the High Court and so on, you see, that one, and really that's what makes me me. Because I'm the only one with the courage to say that I'm sorry. I'm the one who says that, by the way, not that necessarily I have done that personally.
You stormed the court?
No, I didn't. Not I'm saying personally. No,
but you commanded that.
No, you don't command. Because who is Black Mamba? Black Mamba are military officers from military intelligence and so on. I was a coordinator of intelligence. You have no direct command of the troops. If that was the way Museveni's officers were handling the army, he would not be in power by now. He's very stingy and so on. Who gives an order? Even these commanders you see here, whom you think they are very big, they can't take even a section from one battalion to another. Me, I'm telling you now as a general here, who knows how things play. So for you to think that General Sejusa, who was a coordinator of intelligence, can have an operational power, can have operational jurisdiction to go and command, a commanding officer under whose, that is just loose talk.
But a four-star general stands out and says enough. You are a lawyer.
No, but wait. No, let me finish this. Patrick,
you are an accomplished man.
Wait, but
then why didn't you? You're a man of integrity.
No, but
why didn't you stand up and say this is our point of departure?
No, I did, and it caused problems because, like that court thing. This is why I say, you see, and it's not it's no longer, Patrick. It's no longer. I no longer want even to try to remove. To plead about personal innocence.
Okay.
It doesn't pay because then I do not become clean.
You are equally culpable.
Absolutely. Because you see, once you serve a dictatorship, once you serve a system which has lost its way, you too, you wear that collective guilt. Therefore, I'm neither clean nor them. And this is what has made me different. Because, you see, when you are sore, and you are right, I'm the only person who would be sore and poor at the same time.
And again,
at times. No. But what I want to say that at times when you are sore, and if you are really sore, then you must do what Saul did effectively. Because Saul was an effective operator. But when you become poor, then you become an effective poor. That's what I'm offering to Uganda. Now, those other people you call freedom fighters and so on, I have a track record. I'm not I'm not a mercenary. I'm not, what can I call it? I'm a Ugandan who has shed his blood. You are not talking about some person who has just got an ambition. I could have remained in the bush. My leg fell off.
Your leg?
Yes. Here I was. They thought I was dead. I asked my boy to cut off the skin which had remained. The skin. Dr. Besigye, when he took me to operate me under the tree, and they collected me on a tipper. He was with Museveni on only a tipper, and the leg was off. I had turned the leg and tied it on my thigh. They said amputate it. He refused. We don't know what. Yes, Dr. Besigye, that one whom I was attacking, Dr. Besigye. The bones which they picked at that place cut it. They picked it and put it in a basin. He washed it in water.
Dr. Besigye?
Yes, put it here. He put in plaster of Paris, and then I went. We were defeated. Inubulemezi defeated. We ran. It's a joke, and that thing you hear. Then I fell in another ambush at a place called Kansiri. It broke again. This time there was no Besigye. I don't know how I healed. I never went to the bush. I was shot through the arm here. It's 1 millimeter of my heart. I never went to the hospital. I would heal and fight. Even when I was sick, I would fight. So, this is the person you are talking about. You are talking with. I could have died there.
And you, after all that, you tormented Besigye later.
Yeah, absolutely.
You collected your leg and put it back.
Yeah, but that is what evil does.
So you
wait. That is
evil bug hit you.
Yes.
So when is it going to hit you again?
No. Listen.
You have a monumental challenge of telling Ugandans that you can stick to your word.
No. I do not need to convince Ugandans.
Of course you do.
Wait. No, I don't. I don't need to convince Ugandans. Me, I'm doing my historical role. That's my job. When Saul turned to Paul, the original disciples of Jesus didn't accept him. Actually, when he went to Corinth and so on, he was operating on his own. That is why some of his gospels are different. He talks about not abiding, not being, controlled by the law. He emphasizes grace. When you go to other disciples, like James, so in other words, even let me tell you, in our changes, as we change and as we fight for freedom, what matters is what I stand for. Because when I went to the bush, how many people believed me? How many people believed us?
So
because we are 27.
No, postponed to now.
Yes.
Sejusa.
So
when we bring the biblical imagery,
yes.
are we, if you were to compare in Uganda today, like in the times of the biblical Corinth? Is our times like the biblical Corinth? We saw immorality, so with a lot of corruption, immorality, and all these gut-wrenching things. Have we reached that level?
I think we've gone beyond. I think we have reached the time of Sodom.
We're about to be nuked by God.
Yeah, Sodom or something. It won't be. You see, Ugandans at times they do not appreciate. Look at what was happening today. Look at it. Juxtapose it with what we were in 1986 up to 90. Look at what was happening.
When I saw what was happening today,
yes.
Let me tell you, I saw what you said there, and the statement you made that this requires trench warfare. I saw you visit Dr. Besigye in Nagalama. In fact, there is a picture of you which has gone viral on the social media in Nagalama, and a picture of Dr. Besigye in a cell.
Yes.
That is also terrible. Maybe I've never seen a coat of paint since the colonial times. But I also believed and remembered that what you said, that in 2006, Dr. Besigye had won this election. So when somebody sent me that picture on social media, on WhatsApp, and I saw it, and I thought, if General Sejusa had stood up in 2006 and said, look, we can't cheat this man. This is the right path of democracy. He has won. Let him carry the day. You wouldn't have gone to Nagalama.
No.
You would be at State House in Tebe.
Yes.
But because you never stood up, you went to Nagalama.
No.
And I think when you saw yourself there, that was you in the mirror. And I'm sure you reflected on those things.
But why do people carry out revolutions? Revolutions are not ours. They are revolutions of the people. The people must fight for their freedoms. The people must not be put on the shoulders. When I stood up in 96, the people were not ready. I sold all my cows. In 98, Mr. Museveni put me back into the military. No one said he was wrong. This is a man who was supposed to go. When I came, Dr. Besigye, 2001 and 2006, on what I'm talking about and so on, these things were happening. And onward movement, Uganda, you see the crisis it is in, as you are talking about. Don't talk about me in Nagalama or at Kira Road. You are talking about the leaders who shaped the movement, the people who fought for a people's liberation. This is Dr. Besigye, who was our doctor who saved our lives, and President Museveni. This is Mbabazi, who was an architect of NRM business, whatever you call them. These are all the historical people who stood for the liberation of Uganda. These are the people fighting themselves, using the military, using police force to attack citizens of the country. You saw them, how they were whipping people. This is what is happening. You see, people may think this is a Besigye issue.
Welcome back. You're watching On The Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guest tonight is General David Sejusa. You have been, my colleague, my producer, in fact, wants always to call you the intelligence czar. When you are an intelligence czar, or if you are a czar, you are the king. You know so much.
Yeah.
So, and you understand Uganda like the back of your hand. You have the terrain intelligence. So how do you see Uganda today? Where are we standing? For a man who has been in Secret Service and all that. Well,
we set out to cause a fundamental change, as I told you. The fundamental change was really to reorganize the state, as I told you. And this was our focus. One of the pillars was, for instance, the military, the army, a pro-people army. An army which would never beat a Mwananchi, the population.
This army has delivered. If you ask me,
let me tell you
the only institution that still has the policies is the army.
Everything that delivers must be judged by its sustainability. That's the test. It's not in a vacuum. Is this army, the way it is organized, the way in its internal organizational setup, is it a sustainable unit? If there was a problem today, who would command what? This army, you see. They are very, for instance, how is it deployed? Where are the casualties who die, if I may ask you? These ones, for the last 30 years, we have been dying. 30 years, UPDF. Listen, UPDF has been fighting for the last 35 years, non-stop. Non-stop. We fought our war 5 years in Urwero. We fought another war, that's insurgency in the north, up to now. Konya has never been defeated. What changed was the theater of operation. from Lango, Gulu, and Kitgum, Southern Sudan, to Congo. But our boys are always dying. The economy of Uganda is bleeding. Every 10 years, we spend 6 trillion. This is Ugandan money on that war, plus lives. I have never seen a parliament call anybody to order. They say, where is the pension of the dead? Where are they buried? Where are their names? You see, when you are operating a democracy, there are basic things you must do. So we shouldn't pretend as if, therefore, if someone has served his time, an army which is sustainable, the law must be followed. This is how the army, if it is promotion, the promotion must follow exams, promex. This is how you build an army which is sustainable. Uganda army was a disciplined army, well trained from Sandhurst. Absolutely. It was left, yeah, absolutely. At one time, it couldn't even beat a Mwananchi. Never. What happened? It was destroyed, that it was used to attack Kabaka Mutesa's palace. That was the beginning. And you could see it, actually, the gold scandal of Obote and Idi Amin. Once the army was involved in political maneuvers, so this business of saying it has delivered, no, the army must be insulated from political pressures because it is vulnerable. And it's the last insurance the country has. This is why I insist that we must save it and we must save this country. Because the only hope was, this was among the fundamental changes we are talking about. The army must never participate in politics. It must be non-partisan. Once an army or a policeman or cheats for you,
like you did in 2006 and talked about it.
2006 is not such a, I'm not talking about 2006, everybody has talked about it. Judges have talked about it. Justice Kanyihamba has talked about it. It's not a debatable issue anymore. So that's only diversion. Everybody knows about that. So, but that's not the only one. In 2000, in 1996, when President Museveni stood against President, Mzee Kawanga Semogere, I remember, you know, I participated when I told the President Museveni not to stand, and he refused. He asked me, he was seated there, General Sare was there. He said, why are you fighting us? I said, I'm not fighting you. I just do not want to go back to Luwero. Because when we destroy this army, because we are going to make it steal votes, we shall fight again. That's what I told you in that meeting. And so I went, this business you are talking about a serving office. I was a serving office. I went to Mzee Semogere's place with the late Kacha Mamayanji. I picked him. I took him to an office in Kampala. He resigned. After a few weeks, he stood as a candidate for IPC or whatever. So once you are fighting for freedom, you do not fear those things you are talking about. Or you are walking the streets, I don't care whether you walk them or not. Because
and you're saying you're running for your life in London.
Oh, what are you talking? You think
here? You think here? In them.
Yeah, but you see, you should also. You see, you people at times also. There is what we call historical legitimacy. What makes you think that President Museveni is the alpha and omega of this country?
Of course he's not.
So if you know he's not, and there is a higher power, I believe it. So for those who think that everything must depend on his whims, I'm not one of them. I'm not one. So, but anyway,
today, General Sejusa, there are brigadiers serving army officers with you, who, when you went to the bush, they were actually in diapers.
Yes.
But now, 2016, they are the men who are wielding power, real de facto power. Do you feel like you have been robbed of something?
No.
By these young Turks in the army?
No, not at all. Not at all. Actually, those young people are not the problem. It's the architects of the revolution with whom we had who are the problem. It's President Museveni and a few who are here. I don't know even whom he's remaining with, because the last person he was, like they normally say, those left standing.
We have so many people who want to ask questions.
Left standing.
And I've entered into their time.
Was Honorable Mbabazi. So I don't even know whom he has now. I don't know. So these young boys, these young people, these young officers, they are good. You see, they are good. It's like you say, when you steal while you are carrying a baby on the back, it will also become a thief. So when you have commanders on top who are doing wrong things and abusing the system and abusing the law and stealing money,
so they're enjoying the booty.
These children,
they're enjoying the booty.
Absolutely, because they are on Mpira Kuyonka and so on.
let me get you Ugandans who, and my producer telling me they're ringing off the hook. Yes, hello?
I am Beatrice Komuntari.
Gertrude Komuntari.
Yes, please.
Gertrude, you're on air.
Okay, I wanted to make a comment. Beatrice.
You are Beatrice Komuntari.
Oh,
okay.
The way I admired General Sejusa, I'm let down tonight.
You're let down?
Yes, please.
Why is that?
In those few years ago, he was a man. He would talk as a general. But now I see an angry man fighting Muzei, trying to convince us. What a shame. There is nothing done that is wrong that you never participated in. Whatever you say, you are ashamed. You should be ashamed of yourself.
But Beatrice Komuntale, you're also an angry woman. You sound angry, ma'am. Okay, let me take another caller. Hello? 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 I dropped that call. I pick another. Hello?
Hello?
You're on air, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
You're speaking to Otim Davis.
Otim Davis, where are you, sir?
I'm Otim Davis calling from Apache.
You're on air, Apache.
I'm in Apache. Calling from Apache. Yes. If you look at
oh dear.
Oh no. Oh no. We don't get many calls from Apache, and I was so happy to hear somebody from Apache. Maybe you could be in Chawente, you could be in Aduku, you could be somewhere. Okay, we have another call online. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Mara calling from Gulu.
From Gulu, you're on air.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. No. Okay, you go. You're on air, sir.
I'd like to encourage of General Sejusa.
Unfortunately, the network is so poor. I don't know which phone line you're using, but I don't want to do economic sabotage some of these phone companies that are giving us what. I would have mentioned some of them that have.
Hello?
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 Yes, sir. Oh. Okay. This is quite unusual. Hello? Do you have another call online? Hello?
Hello, sir.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from? Okay.
Let's speak.
The phones are breaking off immediately after they go through. I'm going to just try one more. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Julius Kuri, Sister Mukono.
From Mukono, you're on air, Julius.
Yes, I was asking General Sejusa. When VCJ and Tumukunde talked as army officers were court-martialed for speaking in a wrong form, why is it that he can't be touched and is talking as a general and others were court-martialed and for him nobody's touching him?
Okay. Probably maybe he can't cause much impact, so they have just let him be. Hello? We have another call online. Hello? Okay. All right. I can hear the echo in the background, which means when you call, you also leave your TV volume high. When it is high, we cannot have a conversation. Hello?
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Joseph.
Joseph, where are you tonight?
Kireka.
Seta, you're on the air, sir.
Hello?
You're on the air.
Hello, how are you, Sebo?
We okay?
This is Joseph from Kireka.
Joseph in Kireka, you're on the air.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing General Sejusa. And I'm very impressed the way he's articulating issues. These are the issues we had never... Yes, please, I can hear you.
Oh dear.
Okay. Well, unfortunately we didn't hear, but at least there's a happy man in Mukono, and there's an unhappy lady in the name of Beatrice Komuntali.
Yes.
And maybe let me take just one more. Hello? All right. Okay, all right. Closing the lines, just because we have a technical teacher, I suppose, and it's very unfortunate on a day like this, we cannot hear them speak, and the technology has let us down, and I hope we can make it better. I apologize for those wrong telephone call, and then the audio was not coming out very well. I hope we shall work around it. But at least you have 2 or 3
about that
have come out well.
Patrick, thank you. Commentary I had her. I do sympathize and I do understand her sentiments, as a matter of fact. And it's not easy. I do appreciate the sentiments of the people who belong to the system, because it needs a lot of courage for you to remove yourself. You see, it wasn't easy for me either. I was in power. I had these red collars. I had the
you're shining tips.
Oh, I was too much. And the Baganda called it Tamalala. You know, you think you're everything.
Or Amaro, maybe.
No, not Maro. Maro is innocent. Maro is innocent. Maro is... this is real.
Uganda has severe disability, but
until when I went to exile, and I didn't go to exile, by the way, even my wife didn't know, my family did. I didn't go to exile myself, definitely, intentionally. I had gone to do some work and come back on the 9th. And then these people panicked, and then they deployed and to arrest me and all this. So I chose to stay there. But when I went there and I stood in London, and I reflected about what has been happening in the country, and the revolution, many had perished, 500,000 dead in Ruwero, and another 1 million plus have died during this insurgency. This is the death of Ugandans, 500 dead in Ruwero, another 1 million plus dying in these wars, plus all.
There have been innocent Ugandans killed in Ruwero by your army.
Whoever did, we were actors. That is irrelevant. I do not want to blame Obote alone. We were actors. If we are not shooting, Obote would not shoot back. Would not shoot. Therefore, and let me tell you this, nobody wins in a civil war. This commentary should understand. No one wins in a civil war. No one. Everyone is a loser. People think that Kony was defeated. The northern region is not a unit of production for Uganda for the last 30 years. When you hear Uganda, we were 5 billion in 86 of GDP. We are now 21 billion. $21 billion. That is our GDP.
Okay.
21 billion, like Tesco, which makes Gonja here. Tesco, 21. And you hear a person giving statistics. The whole of Africa, its GDP is 3 trillion. Japan's GDP is 4 trillion. Germany is 3 trillion with 80 million people. We are 1.1 billion with 3 trillion, the whole of Africa. Burundi is 2 billion, which some of these Uganda, $2 billion. These are countries which are independent. And these African leaders go to OAU and go to United Nations. They speak. This is what commentary doesn't know, that we are slaves, that we are perishing. Each child of UPE, they give him 5,000 shillings. That's $1. $1. There is, you see, the dropout rate of UPE is 80%. You see, what knowledge do they get? There is what we call cognitive competencies. Forget about the letters you get, the degrees. cognitive competencies.
That is what you should get at a young age.
Absolutely. What do you know?
Stimulation.
Absolutely. What do you know? What do these children know? So we have destroyed a whole generation. How many generations? We should be charged with criminal liability, because, and this is criminal, by the way, because you see, what are we doing? This is social engineering of society. What it means is that once you give a child $1, that child will never grow into a serious person to be a manager of a bank. So these people who are already in charge, by default or by deliberate, whatever you call them, they will be the leaders of this country in the next. So,
General, our time is running out. I just want you to make your concluding, your parting shot tonight.
So,
your concluding remarks.
People like Komuntari, they should know that we love them. We look at the anger in the country. We look at the poverty in the country. We look at the unemployment in the country. We look at the corruption in the country, and we know it is not sustainable. It's going to blow up. We look at the injustice in the country. Look at what is happening. It cannot be sustainable, this type of situation. It's not sustainable. And the only way to save this country is for the leaders who are there really to pull back and say, after all,
what do you predict is going to happen in 2016 in the elections?
There cannot be an election in 2016 if you say an election, because an election must run according to the law. That's what is the definition. It must, the Constitution says there must be periodic elections which are free and fair. Any election which is not conducted on rules which are permitted by the law and is not free and fair is therefore unconstitutional. Our job is to make sure that we defend our constitution, and we shall not allow that election to be. You know, some people say, but these people, how would they stop it? Ugandans fought that war of liberation. When we went with 27 guns, we were living under Sanja. A Sanja. I was a commander of Kabarega. We had 4 guns. 4 guns, 100. There were 9-inch covered us. They were our water. We were just the little fish that there was. Here in Kayunga, 2009, this government fell. I was here. Here.
During the Uganda?
Yes, it fell. For 3 days we had no government. It fell. I was here. I'm an actor. I was here. CBS was, I think, switched off on the 3rd or 4th day. There was no government, I'm telling you. Just. And this is the capability I'm telling people to build. Competence.
You want to build anarchy. This is anarchy. What happened?
There is no anarchy. There is no anarchy. Because there was
attacked over mistaken identity on things I know no business about.
Precisely. This is the whole point. The whole point is that if this injustice continues and the leaders don't do anything, then we shall get into anarchy. And I fear it. I fear it. These commentaries must know.
But because let me make a disclaimer. The commentary you're talking about, yes. I'm very sure is not the commentary who is my princess.
No.
At least I know.
But that is an example, Patrick. That is an example of what happened here. And that was the tip of the iceberg. It was not planned. The Katito just couldn't cross the much earlier. Reforms, you cannot reform a system where the political party is fused with the state. Because President Museveni is using civil service, he's using the judiciary, he's using the media, almost monopolizing it, he's using the security services like you saw them attacking Babaji and so on.
You're on a national platform, everybody's listening to you, and other people are opposing.
Okay. Even, by the way, thank you, but let me finish. So reforms, you cannot reform a system which is as decadent as this because it's already fused.
All right.
Now, the other thing is that it's going to get worse because the employment of the military, the employment of security services is going to make matters worse. And the population actually is getting more militant. And the population, therefore, I think it is incumbent upon the leaders to sit back and get a win-win situation which can save this country from going down.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're saying that it is incumbent upon the leaders to get a win-win situation. He predicts that it could even get worse. Thank you for adding value to our discussion and giving us some of the historical perspectives probably we didn't know, and giving us an opportunity to talk to you. One thing I see that maybe we're probably in hard times, but let me say this from a personal level. This is our country. 35 million people. We are honored to be called Ugandans. No other people are called Ugandans. You can decide to build this country But we can also decide to destroy it. Let us choose to build our country. Good night, and God bless Uganda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.